Hello, AP Psychology students, and welcome to Chapter 7 on Thinking and Intelligence. Today we're going to think about thinking. Wait, what? You ever just thought about thoughts? Thinking about thinking? Let's contemplate. A little strange here. Thinking is like a time machine. You can go in the future, you can go in the past, you can go to different worlds, different places, you can go to different countries. You can visit aliens, you can talk with animals, you can go through all interactions with other people, all from the seat of your pants, all from your mind. Thinking frees us from the present, takes us beyond the boundaries of reality, and makes life easier. It is truly one of the most remarkable things that humans can do. Many equate the human mind to an information processor, much like the computer you're sitting on right now. However, that theory does not capture the fact that the mind actively alters and organizes information for you. So, like if your computer was, changing the name of your files and then organizing it for you, but then you couldn't find it sometimes, you might get a little frustrated with the computer. So, the way we talk about cognition, remember that's kind of the Latin term to think, to know and all that. Concepts are mental categories. Mental categories that groups objects, relations, activities, and abstractions, or qualities having common properties. I used to hear the word concepts and be like, ugh. But it's a simple way of thinking. Like if you think about a very overarching concept would be a car. I want you to think about a car. You can even look, I don't know, out in your parking lot or your driveway or out in the parking lot at school and see cars. And you can see that they come in many different shapes and sizes. And so what makes a car, and a truck, an SUV, and a van, and what's this thing and the picture? So in our minds, we compare all cars to a prototype, which is an excellent example of a concept. And so it's kind of weird when they come up with these weird cars like this. These are called concept cars, actually. And so Benjamin Lee Whorf proposed that language actually molded how we thought and how we perceived the world. And you're like, come on, I thought we were just talking about cars. And now all of a sudden we're going, hey, it changes how we speak. Inuit natives up in, Canada and Alaska, you guys probably know them as Eskimos, they have like 40 different words for snow. Because, they're surrounded by it. There's, crunchy snow, and there's icy snow, and there's fluffy snow, and wet snow, and, snow that packs well, and yellow snow, don't eat that. But they do not have a word for goodbye, supposedly. So I guess they just say snow you later. Where if you talk to someone from Florida about snow, they'd be like, it's awful, it's white, it's cold, I hate it. And so that's kind of a difference because they live with it. And so new research it shows that this is somewhat true. There are feminine and masculine words, especially in other languages, especially the Romance languages, like if you've taken Spanish class or Italian or French, you have these feminine and masculine connotations, which sometimes changes the perception of the word. And so we have the lovely word butterfly, which used to be flutterby, and the name flip-flopped. In Spanish, it's mariposa, but in German, it's Schmetterling. What? So, speaking of our concepts of cars, these are all automobiles. They all have four wheels. They all basically get people from A to Z, but there are many, many different styles and all this. And basically, you could probably say that the cars stop here. All of these are cars of some sort. Now we got minivans, we got SUVs, and then we have crossovers like a van and a car and a truck. I don't know. So this is a funny video about how languages are different. So here, watch this.
Avion.
Aeroplane.
Aero.
Avion. Flugzeug.
Surprise.
Surprise.
Sorpresa.
Sorpresa.
Überraschung. Papillon.
Butterfly.
Farfalla.
Mariposa.
Schmetterling. Stilo.
Pen.
Penna.
Pluma.
Kugelschreiber. Marguerite.
Daisy. Margarita. Margarita.
Gänseblümchen.
This one's one of my favorites.
Ambulance.
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 Krankenwagen. Science.
Science.
Dieta.
Ciencia.
Naturwissenschaften.
Part 2.
Hippopotam.
Hippopotamus.
Hippopotamo.
Hippopotamo.
Nilpferd. Sex.
Sex.
Sexo.
Sexo.
Geschlechtsverkehr.
Wow.
Pardon.
Sorry.
Scusa.
Pardon.
Entschuldigung. Habitat.
Hospital.
Ospitale.
Hospital.
Krankenhaus. Centrion.
Cinderella.
Cenerentola.
Cenicienta.
Aschenputtel. Canary.
Canary.
Canario.
Canario.
Kanarienvogel.
Yes, they played up the German element a little bit, being a little more masculine, a little more harsh, but of those, which one probably sounded the most feminine to you? Probably French. So that kind of shapes the thinking there, and so cognition. Concepts are the basic building blocks of thought. We relate them to each other. We organize our thoughts that way. We have propositions, or a unit of meaning, made up of concepts that express a single idea. So I have a proposition for you, like dolphins are smart. That's a proposition. It's a concept. Hey, we know what intelligence is. We know what dolphins are. But we're going to say one idea, dolphins are smart, and they are a highly intelligent animal. Like this one here. Excuse me, sir. Do you have a moment to talk about our Lord and Savior, Neptune, god of the sea? They are linked together in networks of cognitive schema. Mental models are like, you can go further, like gender roles. That's not a singular idea, but there's ideas of what men and women should do in our country. And so those are always evolving, and there's many different aspects of that. And then we have mental images. You can picture in your mind. I want you to picture a mountain meadow full of little columbines and other wild flowers. You can picture that. You can probably, hear the wind rustling through the trees and hear the birds chirping. And so we are actually mentally imaging or imagining sounds. You can talk about, if you get a mosquito bite, I want you to think about a mosquito bite on your arm and how itchy that is, and you're probably going to start itching now because it's suggestive. But you can almost mentally feel that itch. Same thing with the smell of, vanilla, or the taste of brown sugar. And those things, you can picture those in your mind. And I don't like using the word picture, but you can imagine them. And so other senses can do the same thing. Our brains are very, very powerful that we can do that. So how conscious is our thought? There are some subconscious thinking going on. Subcognition lies outside of awareness and it requires a little effort. If I asked you right now, who was the first president of the United States? Good, George Washington. You weren't prepared for that. This isn't a history class, but that was there somewhere, and your hippocampus relayed that from long-term memory to short-term memory very, very quickly. And so a lot of things that we do also are automatic routines. If you drive to school or to work, and then you're like, wait, how did I get here already? That was kind of weird. I don't even remember really driving. That's because it was an automatic routine. A lot of times our morning routines where we get up and brush our teeth and floss and get dressed and curl our hair or whatever, do all that stuff. We don't even think about it. We just do it. Now, multitasking, because you guys are young, you think you can do it well, and old people think they can do it well. Turns out nobody really does multitasking well. Studies show that multitasking increases the time required to complete the task. If you had 3 tasks and you did them all at the same time, it takes longer to do them all at the same time than if you did task A, task B, and then task C. Stress goes up, errors increase, reaction times lengthen, and memory suffers. It is hazardous to your health, as you can see from the picture. These things are hazardous to our health, especially if you're driving. Just put it away, let somebody else do it. Get to where you need to go and then check your phone. Don't be on your phone while you're driving. Performing 2 tasks at once makes your prefrontal cortex turn off. So whenever you do 2 things at once, you turn off the most human, highest power thinking part of your mind when you're trying to do 2 things at once. So slow down, do one thing, put your phone somewhere else, don't be constantly checking it, and activate that prefrontal cortex, the most human element of the mind. And so what it does is it prioritizes tasks and activates higher order thinking. So you can think of big concepts and tough, difficult ideas. So then there's also non-conscious thinking. When a solution suddenly just pops in your head and you weren't even thinking about it, and you just, hey, I got it. I know what to do. Some people think that we should rely on our intuition and our gut feeling, which is a good idea if you have a background, or if you know something about what you're wanting to decide on. But if you have no idea, that's probably a bad idea. Intuition may come because clues activate memories or knowledge in the brain without conscious effort. Is why we kind of have a gut feeling. And like I said, if you're familiar with this, if you have, you can relate to it, you have a history with whatever you're trying to decide, that's pretty good. If you don't know what's going on, like somebody asked me to call a play in hockey, I'd be like, just hit it, the puck with the stick into the net. That's all I know. Let's do a pick and roll. Can you do that in hockey? It seems like it appears, but the brain was doing the work on the behind the scenes on it. Memories can be stored in cells. Transplant patients often claim they have memories or abilities they previously did not have, organ transplants and things like that, which has led to some really bad sci-fi movies where, I don't know, you get like hand replacements or hand transplants and then somebody starts murdering people because they got their hands from a dead murderer. I don't know. Implicit learning is when you learn a rule or adaptive behavior without much conscious intention. We just kind of pick up things. Like directions to your grandma's house. Maybe you didn't actually get point A to point B, or maybe you can't do that. You just rode with your parents all the time to grandma's house, and then the first time you drove, you went, no, I go this way and that way. I don't know what to do. Things like that. So mindlessness, and we got a lot of this going on in our country, and then, everywhere. Doing things out of habit. And this is where we want to crawl into a hole, like when we buy our tickets at the movie, which we haven't got to do in a long time, and they say, hey, enjoy the show, and you say, yeah, thanks, you too. And then you're like, oh, did I really just say that? Or when you tell the person who checks your flight ticket, your boarding pass, enjoy your flight. Hey, you too. No, they're staying right there in the airport. Or everyone's favorite, when the waiter gives you your food at the restaurant, enjoy your meal. Yeah, you too. See, those are all out of habit. We're not thinking. Or when somebody says, hey, how are you? And you're like, good, how are you? Good, how are you? And it just kind of goes back and forth because you're not actually paying attention. So mental inflexibility, inertia, and obliviousness is to the present context. We have a lot of that going on. We have a lot of sheeple. Jerome Kagan studied this. Being fully conscious is only needed when we make deliberate choice. So many times we just go through the motions. You hear that bell ring in class and you just pick up and go. And you didn't really think about, wait, what bell was that? Or what class am I in? We do things out of habit. This can lead to errors. It can lead to mishaps. I once put ear wax drops. I had some earwax build up. I once put those in my eyes on accident. Grabbed the wrong thing. Didn't really read it. Yeah, that was mindless, and that hurt really, really bad. So these are all interesting things that we all have experienced. That's all I have for today. If you have any questions, let me know. Hope you enjoyed this.